This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code SOUTHGATE to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
What is the sound of one hand clapping? What is the sound of one fist punching? What is the sound of the IronCast?
Well, you know, this is officially the last episode of the Iron Fist.
Ever!
I am your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me as always is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
It's Mozz, and there is my beautiful son doing a little background voice in the background.
Love it.
He's our Foley artist.
Hey.
So let's get into it. In the season or series finale,
Who's to say?
Iron Fists collide as the fate of New York City hangs in the balance. Jonas Pate is our director on this episode. And, of course, Roy Thomas, Gil Kane gets our good old Marvel Comics credits. Scott Buck, he's still there. This episode was written by M. Raven Metzner.
Oh, wow.
With Matthew White, our executive story editor. Tatiana Suarez-Pico, also an executive story editor, and doing the real heavy lifting, the non-executive Jenny Lynn, our story editor. Okay, so this episode, how do we start off? We start off with, right where we left off, with Davos waking up as they're trying to steal the Iron Fist from him, and Colin...
Well, we get like that little bit of their childhood where I think it might be the first night where Danny got to the to Kunlun. And Davos brings him something to drink, or just, you see like them as little kids. That's kind of cool.
I mean, that was, and really, it shows you how long they've been together and how, I mean, honestly, what it really shows is how far Davos has fallen,
Yeah.
It shows really that, you know what, Davos, he's had a rough go here. And, unfortunately, that's the reality of it, is Davos is... He wants to be the Iron Fist, and, he wants to be the Iron Fist in the worst way. And so he became the Iron Fist in the worst way.
Indeed.
That's what you can say about poor old Davos. But Danny, he still loves the cat,
Yeah, see, I think Davos is somehow under the impression that the world is supposed to be fair, and I don't think that it's like I don't know if it was in this series or somewhere else where they say the plan never falls as it should. You always have to. The plan should be to deal with how the plan is not going to work.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Davos. He's not a guy who, it's funny. We talk about how naive Danny is sometimes, but I kind of feel like Davos is so much more naive at the end of the day. I think Davos is just this guy who just really doesn't get that this world was not made for his personal pleasure,
Well, not just that, but that the world doesn't work the way you've been taught it does. Part of me maybe thinks like he might be on the spectrum in some sense or something. And the only reason he's gotten this far without recognizing the gap between him and normal people is because he's always been shuttered away in Kunlun, or because he knew martial arts, so people would have to do what he said, kind of. But,
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if he's on the spectrum. Definitely there's a bit of sociopathology going on there. There definitely is a divorce from human compassion. I don't, and because of that, I don't necessarily want to say, oh, it's because he's on the spectrum, because I think his social skills are high enough that it's unlikely that he's on the spectrum. I think it's purely just a bit of sociopathology, and as they say, God help us from the self-righteous, and entitlement. entitlement more than even Danny Rand has ever had, or good old Meacham.
Who's sort of the best one by the end of this?
Well, I mean, let me put it this way. I don't know if I want to say Meacham's the best one by the end of this. I will say that Meacham really, honestly, what I can say about him is that he definitely wants to be a better guy.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's one of these things where, I mean, just to get a little bit of spoilery on it here, he like starts off with like telling Joy, I'm always here, I'll never leave you, telling the other girl, I'm here for you, whatever you need. And yeah, they both rebuff him, but then like 10 minutes later, it's like, well, I guess I'll hop on a plane,
No, see, because here's the way I saw it. For the whole time, all he's been looking for is someone to choose him, in any way, and his father never did. Joy spurned him. That was his only, family or person that got him, that understood him, or that acknowledged him. And she spurned him. And now he sees the possibility and hope with this new baby and this woman. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
And he goes here, he goes there. And even there, he shows up to the plane going, look, I don't have any other family left. Where are you going? And he's like, I got to go. And he just stands there. And then he just like somebody does, he'll slinkers onto the plane in the hopes that maybe Danny will ask him. He wants to go, but he wants Danny to ask him.
Yeah.
Just to say that I'm worthwhile. Somebody wants to spend time around me or something. He has nothing. And then when Danny says, you're coming with me, he's like, what? And then he goes, no, you're coming with me. He puts it on those terms. And that's the best thing ever for old Meacham there,
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I do think that, I think you make a great point about Meacham there. I mean, I still feel that there's this, I mean, it is this guy, like he says, not a bike path or a forest path, but a true path.
Yeah.
And it's like, he is on one hand very much, looking down at, he's very much trying to be something, and also at the same time really kind of undermining his entire argument, I think. But it works. It gets him where he's going, and we get to have a nice final scene. We're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
Right. By the way, I gotta tell you, the episode was all right. It was kind of cool. I was interested and I cared all the way through. But the ending really, really pissed me off. And I guess we'll get into it when we get there. But yeah, it's like, what? Oh my God. But anyways.
No, I can understand that. I'll go over why. I can guess why you think it was bad, but I'll give you my own explanation why I think it's actually kind of cool.
And it might help.
Yeah. And sorry, Tristan's bouncing around about. He's trying to get mutant robots that he's watching on YouTube. Yes, but
the other thing that I was really looking forward to that we sort of didn't get any explanation for was who is the third personality in Walker/Mary's head.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a comic book reference. Because essentially, I mean, really, there's only I don't think there's 3 in the comic books, but basically, Typhoid Mary is the character that she is based off of. Typhoid Mary is like this schizophrenic, super villain lady who basically she's kind of, I mean, I'm probably oversimplifying this, but she fell. She was a hooker who got knocked out a window by Daredevil.
Oh boy!
And she becomes somehow she gets like exposed to toxic chemicals as you do, and becomes Typhoid Mary, which is when this personality comes up. She's like a ninja master, and has like deadly touch and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's Typhoid Mary. Now we didn't really explore that, but basically we know that Walker is already a BA. And Typhoid Mary, if that's what they're going for, may be a BA with some superpowers on top of it, And that's...
Oh, so wait a second. You're saying that Mary has powers, but she just doesn't bring them out. She pretends to be this character, and maybe she's even scarier than Walker?
Well, yeah. Well, no. Well, no, Typhoid... Well, I mean, it's possible that Mary actually is Typhoid Mary.
That's interesting.
There are moments when we're watching Mary where we go, she's getting kind of into that scary space, you know? And sort of baby doll scary.
No, but so then that would have to mean that the video she made thanking Walker for saving her was just a really, really involved plot to sort of mess with Walker's mind.
I mean that's a theoretical possibility. It's possible.
That seems too far-fetched, right?
Yeah. Well, what it is you know what it is. And here's the thing with all dissociative identities. We often think about them as these clear splits. But even as we saw at the end, where Mary comes out, when it's really kind of convenient for Mary to come out. And then as soon as she's in the clear, suddenly Walker's back. Because you notice that like at the end, again, we're kind of glossing over that middle part here. And what I'll say about it, like half this film is all tying up loose ends, or at least establishing our final conversations. At the end, basically during the big fight between Davos and Colleen, Misty and Danny are fighting Walker.
Right.
And, Danny bursts a pipe so you get the rain, and then starts telling Misty to, use her phone to make a strobe light. Now, why she didn't just push the strobe function on her phone flash, I don't know. But instead, she just turns on the flashlight and just waves it. So it's like, there's a button for that on your phone, lady. But,
although to be fair, I would have done that too. I don't know that I know how to do the strobe function.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know.
It depends on your phone actually, because I have like a sport phone, so it's got a wilderness survival app where gives you a thing. And
that's cool.
Is you got the flashlight, but you can also put it on flash. So. So it's like, okay, one second, let me open that app. One second. So probably what she did was probably better.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, didn't Mary recede of her own volition and relent control to Walker, of her own accord? So even if they brought her out by force, as soon as the little situational things that keep Mary present, like the water or these sorts of things, as soon as they're not a factor, Walker would eventually come out. A, probably because she's stronger, and B, because Mary had already relented that control to her. And if you force her out, she's like, oh, wait a second, I don't know why I'm here. Okay, I'm going to go back now,
Yeah, well, I guess from my point, I didn't buy that was really Mary.
Ooh. That's what you... Interesting.
I kind of felt like that was just a little too convenient. And then when we see her again, after Misty, who's been duped, says, she sent her off with the EMT, she needs help. And then, she straight up, whatever she does to the EMTs and walks out, Yeah, that's going to look bad on Misty's report, I got to say that. I think, she may be waving off that captain's job, but after that, I think it might be like, so wait, you conspired with vigilantes to steal someone's superpowers, and then you let the sociopathic killer go? But she said she was the nice personality at that.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know what? Still need some iron bracelets. But can I say that I did love that fight scene at the start?
Yeah.
It is like such a... They really put in... for any of the halfway fight scenes from previous episodes, I think, in this one.
This one was quite fun.
Yeah, and it was nice to see, it was nice to see on a lot of levels. First, that, there's, that the Iron Fist can be split, which I think is important to remember here. Because I think that what we see at the very end is meant to imply something about the Iron Fist that basically neither Danny nor Davos ever realized, that it's more than just one thing. And we see it here because we don't see anybody's Iron Fist being any weaker because both Colleen and Davos still have a portion, that
Right.
it's like they both seem to be able to do massive damages. They keep on doing. I love this move, the seismic punch. I think that is one of the best moves I've ever. I don't know if I've ever seen Iron Fist actually do that in the comics, but it's so visual and works so well in the TV series. I gotta say that seismic punch is such a great offensive use of the weapon.
Yeah. It's like the old Hulk smashing the floor and sending a seismic wave to destroy people in front.
Yeah, although that there's a whole problem with the physics on that. Because,
I'm sure.
Yeah, because really, in order for Hulk to send the wave, he'd actually wind up sending himself up in the air too. So
Really? Wait, how would that work? Why would that be?
Well, because the Hulk is hitting the ground with several thousand tons of force.
Right.
The Hulk doesn't weigh more than 2 or 3 tons. So you do that hit, it's basically going to throw him up in the air too.
Oh, right. Like a drop of water falling on the water. The drop would get tossed up to make the wave. And
really, truth be told, it's like much more likely than him sending a shockwave. It's actually just going to, just like when he's jumping, It's like he jumps and it sends off several thousand, but you don't have that shockwave when he's jumping.
That's fascinating. That's so interesting.
It's an interesting thing. Well, this goes to my basic theory on superhumanity, which is that it's not physical actions the way people think they are. Like for example, this is my big theory on flight. Because everyone says, how does a superhero fly? And and like what's the thrust? And the answer is they're not flying at all. What they're doing is they're quantum tunneling through space. So they're actually always standing still, but they're moving themselves through space at an exceptional speed. The same is actually probably true with a speedster who has running as their focus.
Right, because I imagine you could sort of almost satellite yourself, if you're going fast enough, right?
Yes,
exactly. At any height.
And so when you get someone with that superhuman strength, again, it's not really the muscles doing the work, and it's not really them punching the ground with such force. It's them channeling this energy through themselves, this strength force, this heroic force, whatever you want to say. I actually coined the idea of the strength force years ago on the old Marvel Comics message boards. They just brought out the Strength Force in DC. Now, granted, I came up with the Strength Force based on the idea of the Speed Force, but still, I did coin it first, I think. So, just putting that out there.
The one part of this little fight scene that I thought just was like, oh, come on, was the punch on the fist on fist punch thing? That was a little weak.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. On the IMDb page, they actually have a still of that, and it just looks stupid.
Oh, it was like cringeworthy. It really was. I was like, oh, it was going so good, you guys. It was going so good.
Yeah, well, you can only what it is they needed to have that, and I'm sure they were just because that idea. Well, what happens when one Iron Fist hits the other Iron Fist? And the answer is they both go flying. The main difference, though, is that Davos gets thrown against a wall right on his back, possibly cracking it. I don't know if I saw him walk after that. That's something I'm going to say. I don't know if I
no, because it's after that little punch thing that he gets up and tries to do the forehead thing and tries to take the dragon out of her. And then he runs off and Danny chases him and they have their little fight. So but that was a little weird. But other than that, the fight was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. And they're fighting and they Davos does lose. He does lose the Iron Fist, and then he's all mad.
Yeah.
And then Danny, says goodbye to him, and this I thought was a very nice thing, where he says, and Davos like, after all I've done for you, I'm still going to show me compassion. And of course, Davos is saying that with contempt. Like, how can you be so weak as to show me compassion? And, Danny makes the point that compassion is a choice. And really, the point is that choice is often the hardest thing to do. That is the real strength, to show that compassion when someone is not deserving of it. When you talk about this idea of the Iron Fist, and, who is to battle the hand, but also to understand that the Iron Fist must battle the hand, but it is not simply to battle the hand for the sake of battling the hand. It is to battle the hand to represent what Kunlun is supposed to be about, not about simply making war and being the better fighter, but even about being the better human being. And when we think about, as we know that the hand, of course, originally came to Kunlun to learn its secret ways, and then turned on it, there is maybe even this argument that maybe it is not so much to defend against the hand with violence, but even to defend against the hand with wisdom. And that is why someone like Davos was never really right for the Iron Fist.
Right. I mean, I get his point when he is standing there going, it's goes, give me what you stole. And the thought is, hey, you stole it from Danny. And he screams it. He goes, I am the last son of Kunlun.
Yes.
And I can understand half of his point. Like, that's the way it should be. But that's, the world doesn't always work as it should. And you always got to move with in an ever-changing world, the demands of what the world needs out of a hero will constantly change as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no rules that can dictate that.
Well, yeah. And along those same lines, I mean, in saying, I guess maybe one argument that you can make in this is that in saying he is the last son of Kunlun, he's the one who deserves it. There is perhaps this argument that, the Iron Fist is part of the culture of Kunlun. This is his raging against that cultural appropriation by this white kid and this, Chinese lady. Because not for nothing, I mean, Kunlun, it is in the Himalayas, and so it is, perhaps more in line with, Tibetan culture than any of these other people. And maybe that's what he feels.
Yeah, and I guess, I don't know, I have a problem with the idea of cultural appropriation. Well, maybe not, but I think with the liberalness that people apply it to every little thing, shouldn't we be sharing our cultures with each other, and shouldn't we be celebrating someone being accepting of our culture so much so that they indulge in it as well? Shouldn't that be celebrated? And shouldn't there be a line drawn between, celebrating it or doing it to hurt somebody or doing it in a facetious way or something?
Yeah, well,
but I think everybody is jumping and saying that nobody of another race can do something that our race does, and that's just silly.
Well, yeah, and to that extent, I think that there is this argument made in that what Davos thinks is his birthright as the last son of Kunlun is actually in itself fraudulent, because as we see, as it turns out in our big reveal, in fact, it was Colleen Wing's ancestor who was the only woman to hold the fist. And that it was perhaps, as Danny suggests, that the destiny wasn't that he should meet her; it's that he was to bring the fist to her.
Right. He was simply a messenger. Exactly. And it's interesting. This makes me think back to Davos's mom and how conniving she was, and how sort of like goal-oriented and on it she was in that way. And what if she had something to do with maybe her ancestors clashed with Colleen's ancestors, and that's the reason the lineage of the Iron Fist was shifted?
Well, there's an interesting theory I have about the Iron Fist and choosing a new Iron Fist, because I'm going to get into a little spoilery thing here. The other person that we at the very end, the person that gets mentioned as the boss, the one who shipped the Iron Fist's body,
right,
was, I believe it was Randall Orson, which does not sound like a very Kunlunian name.
No.
That was the guy who was the Iron Fist before Danny.
Oh.
And there is this perhaps idea, I realize, when Danny gets the Iron Fist, it's implied he got the Iron Fist, and then shortly thereafter, Kunlun became open. And the idea about Kunlun in the comics, at least, is that it only comes in alignment with this universe like once every 7 years.
Right.
So that, when they go to Kunlun and they see that it's gone, what that actually suggests is that it is not so much that it is gone, is that it is gone back into its universe. That essentially, the point of the Iron Fist is to protect Kunlun for this brief period of time when it becomes vulnerable, when it is in this world, and the hand can move on it.
Well, didn't they actually go to Kunlun and see all the dead monks, though, or no?
No, actually, they don't see any dead monks, and they don't see any city. What they see when they get there, and it's you see all these, ribbons, and clearly signs of a struggle, but you don't see any dead bodies, and you don't see the city. It says they don't come back and see the city destroyed. They come back and see there is no city where the city was supposed to be. And no one ever really talks about that.
Interesting.
Wasn't there a city here? It's like even if the hand had come, you'd think the city would still be there. But no, what they see is they see the gates, and they just see this chasm where the city once was. Because that's how it is. It's gates into a chasm, and then every 7 years, the city returns. So, and I think that basically, Randall Orson was an Iron Fist at one point, and then, like Danny, and also, again, like I said, another outsider. So you have these outsider Iron Fists who go back out into the world once the city is back, to bring the Iron Fist to the world. And you can ask, what is the purpose of that if the Iron Fist is meant to defend Kunlun? But Kunlun only needs defenses once every 7 years.
And, what if there's a broader threat to Kunlun that applies to the rest of the world, and you might need to travel somewhere else to stop something that would eventually hurt Kunlun,
Exactly, and not for nothing, Danny and the Defenders did destroy the hand, or at least lopped off a couple fingers,
Indeed.
So there's a strong argument for all of that, but we do see that the story that Colleen was told about the Pirate Queen of whatever bay, I forget which bay it was. That Danny had heard that story in Kunlun, because that's the story of the first female Iron Fist. And, it doesn't actually tell her because he has to write a letter. And I thought that it was interesting that basically the letter that he's reading from is very similar to the voiceover at the start, just to give that balance to the story. And we do see that at the very end, we see Colleen has taken up the Iron Fist, is being defensive, and that she can now channel the fist through her sword.
Oh my God, why didn't we get to see her use the sword? That would have been so cool.
Because that costs extra, and they were on a budget. Yeah, I was waiting for her to, cut that car in half.
Now, see, I would have rather had that than the silly little scene that we get in Asia, wherever they are, with the silly bullet thing.
Yeah, although what I thought, the bullets were weird, and I've never seen Danny Rand do that with a bullet before, so I don't know what that was about. But what I liked about it is the suggestion that the Iron Fist isn't just one thing. And it's even an argument to be made that the Iron Fist is actually a technique. That it is taught by Shallal the Undying, or infused in you by Shallal the Undying. But that does not mean that just because you've lost it, you've lost it. You still have earned the Iron Fist, and he can't use it.
Man. So then when Davos took it, he had it the whole time too? it's
but you have to relearn how to find it. You have to find it.
I hate it so much because they do this whole thing. He's special, the Iron Fist. He studied for years. He fought a dragon. He defeated a dragon to get this. And I was like, hey, you want some? Hey, you want some too? Hey. Everybody gets one. It's like Oprah's giving away Iron Fists.
There's an argument that that basically if you are not able to hold the Iron Fist will tear you apart. And it's like sort of like when Thor is talking about the hammer that he's going to get in Guardians of
Infinity Wars.
To get the Thanos killing weapon, and he says, well, no, if you were to hold this weapon, your brain would melt. That's how powerful this weapon is. And not for nothing, Groot lifts it. No brain melting. So,
I did say though, I like that scene again because I love Ward as a character, and that scene where he's talking to the gangsters is so fun. What a really, really fun scene. And then he gets back up, and Danny's standing there, and I'm thinking, what is he gonna do? He doesn't have the Iron Fist. And then lo and behold, he's like, oh man, what is he doing? He still has the Iron. Oh no, don't do the and then the stupid bullet thing. But here's what it got me thinking, like, maybe he pretended to give the fist to Colleen and then had like this little drama queen. And what was the deal with them? Like, I don't understand why they can't be together anymore. That's such a weak little, I don't know, plot device or whatever. I don't know. But I'm glad they did inject the other friend from work as like where her intentions are going. So that kind of made sense in that respect. Maybe that's why she was leaving anyway.
Yeah.
But it seems weird after getting the Iron Fist to say I don't know. It just didn't jive with me. I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is like months later, as we said. So,
yeah.
And not for nothing, there is the possibility, there is like a third possibility that it's actually not the Iron Fist, it's actually those guns. Because we don't know, do you know that these guns were a special shipment for Randall Orson, who was a former Iron Fist, so it's possible these are guns that are specially designed to channel the Iron Fist. I don't know. But it does look like both his hands are glowing, which also suggests that he's unlocked something in there.
Yeah, so maybe he went to China and was able to do something cool, and who knows? Maybe I would like to see Ward with some powers too. If we're just giving these things away to everybody,
I don't think anyone wants Ward to have. I mean, I don't know what Ward would do with powers. Honestly, I actually don't think Ward knows what he would do with powers. In fact, Ward is not Patsy. He's not like feeling like, oh, I need superpowers. Honestly, I think Ward would love to just have like a little like house in Connecticut and a Christmas tree with his kids there. I think that would be like, that's all he wants. He doesn't want anything. He wants to get through the day. I mean, I think Ward just wants to get through the day.
But he did look like he was enjoying himself there, though. He did.
And I like the fact that they sort of, even though he sounds a little drunk there when the guy says, more sake, he says, more water. It's just like, he's staying on the path. He's not, he hasn't taken too many steps to the left.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't catch that, but that is interesting. That's really cool.
Yes. So, he says, more water. So,
in my brain, as soon as I heard that, I meant, it's always nice to have a little bit of water with your sake.
Yeah. No, that's my take on it. I mean, I could be wrong.
No, but you're absolutely right. That makes so much more sense that way, and I like it better because to think that he's well.
Oh, okay. Anyway, any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No, I think we covered everything. It's just, I guess I don't know where we'll see them. Maybe they'll do Defenders or something, but it was cool. I'd like to see some of these characters again. I would like to see what happens with Mary and Walker, and I would like to see that Iron Fist sword.
Okay, so Mozz, if people would like to reach out and talk to you about all the things that there are to talk about, Iron Fists and whatnot, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way Mozz and Paz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet, well, some things, because I would like to live tweet Gotham, but we keep on recording every night Gotham's on. But that's okay, because I like to record this stuff too. It's even more fun. Although I did get one tweet in before we started today. Anyway, you can always follow me on the Twitters at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssescr. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
Bing!
For quality. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the path of the Iron Fist is not a path to a door. And yet here we are at the end of our journey. But as Danny says, every new beginning is just some other beginning's end. Oh, I don't think that was his quote. But anyway, you don't have to just go home, but you can't stay here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the IronCast. Stay tuned to this podcast network for The Devil You Know.